All right, for the two of you guys at least that are asking about this on the SUV forum. So I did this layup here. I had a hole in my fiberglass on this SUV storage compartment. So I took the stickers off using a rubber sticker reel, first of all, off of Amazon. They work extremely well on a cordless drill. They rip right through this stuff. I've got a video on my YouTube channel if you want to pick through and watch that. I believe I put a post of that. Repaired this joint here with a Bondo long hair, it's called like long hair fiberglass from AutoZone. It shows a picture of a boat on there and a car, and it's a green kind of a gloopy, looks like a hairball from a cat, I guess. And it filled in the hole real nicely, and then came back over the top of that once it started to set up. I had ground down all my spider cracks, as you see there. Took a burr bit, a burr grinding bit on a Dremel, and just kind of laid it at a steep angle to get a V-groove on all those millions of spider cracks around there. So this would be the same as your spider cracks basically. And you get through the white gel coat down to the base fiberglass. That's where it changes color, obviously, and gives you a nice deep, and you can just see how deep that goes. In these little nooks where these two spider cracks cross right here, by doing that V-groove channel, it left a couple real thin pieces in there. So I just took and chipped those out, made sure that there's no like real easy to remove fibers, chunks in there, so that everything holds together real nice and tightly. So after I did the fur ball to repair the actual hole that was in this thing, then came over the top of everything. Let's see. Then to kind of fill in a few of the pits and valleys, I came over the top with just a Bondo resin, again from AutoZone. I think it had the letter B on it, or number 2 on there for like part 2 or something like that, 2-part. Anyway, I'll show you those cans here in a second. You can see my line. I put a piece of painter's tape around the edges because I didn't want to go too far off of my actual repair areas, so that I didn't have to sand as much. So putting that tape on there makes a raised lip that's going to make this nice and easy to sand down to final finish. And then I came back after all this cured, after 24 hours, with a really aggressive sanding disc on a grinding wheel. I want to say it was a 40 grit. That was real hard to control because, man, but I mean, it was built up pretty high on here, mounded, because I want to make sure I could get the contour. And you had to be real gentle on the touch to burn that back down, kind of like shaping it as you go. It's kind of a pain in the ass with that heavy grit on there. So I'll probably recommend about an 80 grit at the very most to get your contours back if you're filling a hole, and then maybe drop down to a 150 on this stuff. So this is a real thin coat of that Bondo resin. And I apologize, I forgot one thing. Inside that Bondo resin, I also took some silica powder and put a bunch of that silica powder into my resin to kind of give it a little bit of thickness to it, so it was the thickness of basically like honey. Then took a rubber, what do you call those? I'm going to call it a rubber shaper tool. Basically, it's Harbor Freight. I'll show you that as well. And just with that painter's tape in place, I just try to pull it across there at a real steep angle, feather and make it nice and smooth. Try to work it into these grooves nicely so that there's no air pockets when I get done sanding. Stuff like this here, you can see it looks like kind of a greenish grayish right there fleck. I'm not sure if that's going to end up being an air pocket. I think that's just debris that got in there, probably from the rest of this stuff. I'm not 100%. I'll know after I get done sanding. You'll be able to see if there's any pits, and then it'll be ready for gel coat. So anyway, not too bad using those products really. Between the long hair to fill in holes, and then the silica powder to thicken up your Bondo resin to backfill all these holes. It looks like it's going to work absolutely perfectly. That's how it's done. These are non-structural. Your spider cracks are very likely non-structural. If it's in an area of high impact, like, you know, where the dock is going to be smashing at the nose of your ski, the tail corners of your ski, definitely probably recommend using some of that silica to give it a little bit more bonding strength and hold these things together a little better for the next time it gets smashed up. And since I've got this already sanded down, you know, really close proximity to the shape I want, I'm probably going to start with either a 250 grit or at the lightest a 400. The final product, I want to stop at 400 before this thing gets gel coat. One of the buddies on the forum that does fiberglass said 400 is where you want a gel coat. So I'm just going to go with that and spray this entire panel just so I don't have to worry so bad about color matching. But this whole panel here, it was all yellowed out, of course, like SUVs tend to get. I don't know if you can see this on video here. It's going to be really hard to get it to focus. Where the old SUV sticker used to be, right here, there's a difference between pure white underneath it, pure white, close to pure white underneath it, and then the color that the ski had faded to over the years, more of a yellowed out color. So that's what you're going to run into with any areas that you're removing stickers from. So I took 400 and have already just absolutely laid into this thing with 400 grit sandpaper to try to even that out as much as possible. I did end up going a little bit too aggressively on it and got through too much of the factory gel coat. And you're not going to see this on video very likely, but I can see little flecks of kind of a grayish, the underside that's just starting to show through. So I'm going to be spraying this whole thing. And if you have a bunch of spider cracks maybe on the nose of your ski or something, you may want to consider doing a much larger area and then feathering those edges just to kind of blend the gel coat to try to get a color match. I'm going to be using I think it's a waxed gel coat, so it's got wax in it, which automatically allows for that gel coat to cure. You don't have to cover it or spray it with anything to get that stuff to cure, because it's already got the barrier in there that keeps oxygen away from it. I think it's better to use unwaxed and then to apply something over the top to kind of seal it in, because my previous attempt at doing a pre-waxed finish on mine, a pre-waxed gel coat, ended up darkening a little bit beyond where I had kind of calculated the color match to be. So I'll be messing around with that a little bit and see if I can't nail it a little bit closer this time, and hopefully make a video for you all.